how to correctly handle toxic and dramatic people. Doesn't matter if it's your spouse, your kids, family members, coworkers, bosses, your neighbor. Doesn't matter. If they're dramatic and toxic, there is a strategy for interacting with and dealing with these people. So here are 7 ways on how to deal with them. Number 1, which is a big one, don't react with their level of intensity. So your neighbor comes storming out of the house. Hey, you mother ever, keep your dog from crapping in my lawn or whatever, you know. If you meet your neighbor with that level of intensity, they're going to be like, all right, I got something for you. And they're going to go in their house and they're not coming out with brownies. They're going to come out with that pea shooter and they're going to put some holes in you, and you don't want that. That is like, that's all crazy. That's like a worst case scenario. But I mean, mentally and emotionally and situationally, things happen like that every day because dramatic and toxic and angry people behave one way, and then the other person on the other end reacts with the same level of intensity. Well, the dramatic and toxic person is already amped up and ready to go, obviously looking for trouble, and you just gave them a reason to go ahead and hit that launch button. So when a dramatic and toxic person is approaching you stupid, right? They're approaching you sideways and they're coming at you all kinds of ways that are all kinds of wrong. Their intelligence level is like down here, right? Because in order to act like that, whether or not you're a highly intelligent person, when you behave like that, your intelligence level automatically drops down here. So when you meet them with that level of intensity, your intelligence level is down here. And usually when you see 2 people going at it and being jackwagons and fighting and doing it, and they're on World Star, fighting in the front yard, hitting each other with lawn chairs like on Step Brothers, both levels of intelligence are here. They say don't argue with an idiot because people watching won't be able to tell who the idiot is. That's why. So what you got to do is you got to keep your intelligence level up here. So when people approach you sideways and acting all crazy, first thing you have to do is control your emotions and don't react. Just stay calm. Think about what you're going to say and do. Take time to think before you create a situation that escalates into you getting hurt or something crazy happening. I mean, it can even result in you losing your job or ending up on the internet and being famous forever for not being able to control yourself. So don't react with their level of intensity because it makes you look dumb. Overall, I could have just said that. Number 2, identify the intelligence and maturity level of the people you're dealing with. So usually dramatic and toxic people have a lower intelligence level, or, I mean, let's just put it this way. If you're not able to control your shit, you're not able to control your emotions, and you're constantly reacting to the way you feel and what's going on inside you, you're dumb. You know, if that triggers you, you're dumb. I'm sorry. But because it takes intelligence to be able to control your emotions. It takes intelligence to understand and identify when feelings are coming up and to be able to not react to them. So you have to be able to look at the other person and be like, oh, this is who I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with somebody who isn't in their right mind right now. Okay, so I'm not going to meet them with their level of intensity. I'm not going to act like them because they're not in their right mind. You need to be able to identify that before you decide to say and do anything. Figure out who you're dealing with. Because usually if you're dealing with somebody who's an actual threat to you, people who are actual threats that you should be worried about, they're going to come at you calm, cool, and collect and calculated. That's just the way it works. And I mean, could be a real threat. I mean, there's a lot of dumb people out there who pull out a gun and shoot you, but you know what I mean. Number 3, don't be insulting, patronizing, or mocking, or mock them. When the person comes out Level 5 crazy, batting 1,000 and crazy, like Adam Sandler says on anger management. You don't want to bring them up to a level 6 because you decided to insult them, patronize them, or mock them. It's just not smart. You want to try to diffuse the situation. You want to try to bring them down a few notches so you can communicate with them on a more intelligent level, right? You don't want to piss them off even more by insulting them or making fun of them, or this is what you look like, and then doing doing an impression of them. They're just going to want to murder you. It's not cool. So when people are just not in their right mind, you need to be even more in your right mind. Number 4, hear them out. Yes, sometimes it's hard to listen to crazy and dramatic and toxic people, to hear what they have to say because their mindset is so out of whack and you're just like, what? But not only is it a sign of respect, but sometimes dramatic and toxic and crazy people, all they're looking for is just to be heard, right? And they usually behave that way because they start talking that way and people cut them off and they don't hear them out, and it makes them even more frustrated and irritated. So when you're that intelligent person and they approach you and you understand what level of person you're dealing with and you don't want to be insulting to them and you don't want to react with their intensity, the smart thing to do is just hear them out. No matter how crazy or toxic or whatever it is they have to say, just hear them out, because you may be that one person that makes the difference. All they wanted to do was just get it out, and you let them get it out and let them finish. And then they're like, man, I feel a lot better. Thanks for letting me talk. So, sometimes people in their right mind, who are not in their right mind, they just want to get it all out. They just need to vent. They need to get it all out. And if you are a target of a dramatic or toxic person, usually just that one gesture will help get that target off your back, and you can create a sense of normalcy, at least in that moment, and make them feel some sense of rapport, and make them feel like somebody understands them or they're on the same page with you. Even if you're not, it's just an intelligent way of communicating with somebody on that level. I mean, look at hostage negotiators, right? The person holding the hostages with a gun and acting all crazy and stuff. The hostage negotiator doesn't say, you're crazy and out of your mind. They let the person talk. They hear them out and they say, I hear you. I understand you. I get that. I see why you feel that way. Man, that must have been hard. And no matter how crazy the person sounds, they're able to talk them down because that person is feeling a little bit relieved because somebody's listening to them. Number 5, diffuse the situation by speaking to them at their level. And I don't mean at their level of intensity. I kind of mean at their level of maturity and intelligence. And I don't mean that to be insulting. But when somebody's not in their right state of mind and they're not at their normal level of intelligence, if they do have a higher intelligence level, if you try to speak to them from a higher level of intelligence, they're going to think you're insulting them, you're mocking them, you're patronizing them, and it's going to piss them off even more. So what you want to try to do is understand who you're dealing with and hear them out, let them speak. Because once you do, you'll hear the language they're speaking in, and you could kind of bring it down a few notches and try to communicate with them on that level. So you can start building rapport with them, and you can get them to chill. Once they feel somebody understands them, or they're being heard, or somebody's making them feel important by listening, they're probably going to calm down. And I know this because I deal with a lot of dramatic and toxic people in a lot of different areas, sometimes at my job and sometimes in my personal life. And the funny thing is that when I first meet these people and they're highly dramatic and toxic and they have it out for the world, I usually end up becoming the person that they trust, they like talking to and being around, and they like getting advice and they want to improve their lives, is because I took the time to, instead of insulting them and trying to sound intelligent around them, I took the time to understand them first and then speak to them on their level. And once I speak to them on their level and we're able to make a connection, then I can start moving forward from that direction. Number 6, identify future red flags and behavior patterns. So once you deal with enough toxic and dramatic and crazy people, you're going to be able to see certain behavior patterns and ways of talking and looks on their faces and the crazy look in their eyes and just certain things they say and do that tells you you're dealing with red flags. So what I'm saying is, in the future, when you see these red flags, don't even waste your time. Just stay away from them. Go do your own thing. Try to avoid them at all costs. But you only get better at dealing with crazy, dramatic, and toxic people when you're able to identify red flags and move yourself away from that situation as quickly and calmly as possible. And number 7, avoid dramatic people at all costs. If you want to have a peaceful and calm life that is uninterrupted by drama and nonsense that gets in the way of what you're trying to do with your life and trying to move forward and trying to have a peaceful home and raise your kids and have a peaceful family or whatever it is, you have to try to avoid those types of people at all costs. So if you know somebody who's dramatic and toxic, I'm just going to go out and drink with them. That's not a good idea. I know that sometimes the dramatic and toxic people are people you love and you care about. But as long as you keep them in your life, you're going to keep experiencing the same patterns over and over and over. And you're going to constantly keep rolling your eyes and be like, why do I keep on dealing with this person? Why do I agree to keep on going out with this person? Why do I agree to hang out and watch football with this person? So what you have to do is you have to start eliminating these people out of your life. And I know it hurts, and sometimes you experience loss because you genuinely love that person. You care about them, and you want to see them do better, and you want to help them. But at the end of the day, the only person that's going to help them is them. Because if they're not willing to help themselves and they're not open to being helped, no matter what you say or do, you're not going to be able to help them. Simple as that. They're just going to continue being self-centered, continue thinking about themselves, continue being narcissistic, I can't talk, and having a victim mindset. And they're never going to snap out of it until they decide to snap out of it. So if they are people that are not at that level yet, you have to just eliminate them. And once they do snap out of it, if they ever do, they will find you. And you will notice changes if that ever happens. No guarantees. So 7 ways to handle toxic and dramatic people. Don't react with their level of intensity. If they're going crazy, do not go crazy in return. That's just dumb. Number 2, identify the intelligence and maturity level you're dealing with. Just see what you're dealing with and how you're going to approach the situation and how you're going to deal with it. Number 3, don't be insulting, patronizing, or mocking. That's immature. That's what children do. And that's just kind of mean. If they're not in their right mind, it's kind of mean to be insulting to people. You're just being a bully. Number 4, hear them out. Sometimes hearing them out is the difference that makes the difference. Number 5, diffuse the situation by speaking to them at their level. Hear them out. Learn what language they're speaking in and try to reverse engineer the situation and try to start your interaction, or if you have to interact with them, try to start your interaction and communication with them at that level without making them feel insulted or mocked. Number 6, identify future red flags and behavior patterns. Once you've dealt with enough dramatic and toxic people, if you continue having them in your life, it's because you're not paying attention to the red flags and you're not staying away from them. And number 7, avoid dramatic people at all costs. If you want to have a peaceful life, you got to stay away from them. They're always going to wreck your life. They're always going to prioritize their drama, and they're always going to want to dump their drama on you, and they're always going to want you to be part of their drama so they don't feel alone in it. Dramatic and toxic people always need to have people on their side. They always need people thinking the way they do. They call you and, oh my God, listen to this. And they tell you some story. And what they want you to do is be like, oh yeah, F those guys. And they're like, I know, right? Let's go have a beer. But you just got to stay away from those people, because you're never going to have a calm, peaceful life if you're just always around them. So you have to try to avoid them at all costs. So I hope these 7 things help you if you're dealing with a toxic and dramatic person in your life. I hope you get it figured out. And I hope that these 7 things help you figure it out.